So we are joined today by Coach Glanville, and we'll start with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll turn it over to questions for Wyatt.
Okay, obviously disappointing game today. It wasn't I think our best game, certainly. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Certainly Maryland deserves all the credit for forcing us into not having a great game. And I don't think we were as good as we can be, which is disappointing. So I just thought they were better than us all over the field, offensively, defensively, late in the game. And we had a game there going into the sixth inning and 3-2 game and thought we were right in the ball game and kind of just lost the last, 4 innings. We didn't really do much there. So give them credit, but kind of disappointed in just kind of how we overall played the full game today.
Questions for Wyatt?
Well, obviously you come into a game against, Maryland, Nick Russo's and be a factor there in the middle. It was kind of the way you hope to attack him and how do you kind of describe the way it was at fastball?
Yeah, I try to throw strikes with my fastball and then really work off my changeup. It's my go-to pitch. I feel really comfortable with it in any count. Got behind a couple of times and made some really good swings on the ball. He's a good player, so I give him credit for that and try to attack the zone with fastball, changeup, slider, and try to be effective in the bottom of the zone.
Back left.
Wyatt, what did you give Nick Nicholas on any Kofi and solo homers in the first and second?
What pitches were they? Is that what you asked? Both fastballs. Fastballs trying to go away, and they kind of snuck up a little bit up and in, and they made good swings on them.
Anything else for Wyatt? All right, thanks, Wyatt.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take questions for Coach.
Oh,
Wyatt, you're good if you want.
so I'll go.
Okay.
Coach, you talked about maybe, a number of reasons why the team is going to start today. Can you elaborate on that? What did you just kind of pick up?
Well, I think offensively we're better than that. It was a lot of ground balls, strikeouts. I didn't, we couldn't get a running game going. We didn't, extra base hits. We weren't, driving the ball. I thought we were tentative. Just we weren't as aggressive as I would have liked offensively. I thought the bottom of our order actually really did a really nice job. It was, 1 through 5. I thought they pitched us tough, and I didn't think we commanded those at bats from those guys like I've seen all year. So it's a combination of both. And then again, just defensively late in that game, we just kind of, gave a couple free bases with a stolen base that were too easy. Wild pitch scores a run. We had a couple misplays in the outfield, and it just kind of lets the game get away from us. So give Savicle credit. Kid's good. Obviously, he pitched really well. But I think we had some chances there offensively to make that a little bit of a different game.
You touched on Savicle. I just what was he doing to play that give you guys some problems?
He competes. He's tough. He pitches with tempo. He's polished. He's a veteran out there. And then he just changes speeds, uses all his pitches. We were trying to get the ball up in the zone because we know when he's down, you're going to beat the ball into the ground like we did. I don't know how many times we grounded out today, but it was a lot of balls on the ground. So he was making his pitches at the bottom of the zone and getting us out with either strikeout or soft contact. And we were trying to get the ball up in the zone off of him and try to get some mistakes.
Was a wind a bit of a challenge for your guys, especially in the outfield in the later innings?
It was definitely a challenge. Yeah, it was. It's real. Yeah. The ball was even both lines, right? Like if you watch that, some of those balls going to right field, they really kind of took off and even went, way foul. And then that ball that was hit to left, there were a couple of them that really sliced, and the wind knocked it down or gave it a little push. So and then center field, I thought it was playing, a little bigger, so it was definitely a factor, not game changing or anything like that, but it was definitely enough it was a factor. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Coach, in the middle innings, you guys had a lot of success playing with 2 out. Did your approach change against Savicle with 2 out?
No, I mean, it's just by design. I'm not by design. I wish we were doing that stuff with nobody on, right? But we seem to, I don't know, sometimes hitting, like, it's hard, obviously. Sometimes hitters hit better with 2 strikes too, right? Like they all of a sudden cut down in the swing and they take what the pitcher gives you. And so I feel like sometimes our offense relies on the home run. We hit a lot of home runs this year for us. And I thought we got some too big swings early in some counts and got ourselves out. And then sometimes when you have two outs, you're like, all right, I got to kind of push this along to the next guy, to the next guy. And I think that's what happened to us. That mindset was there a little bit. Those were singles. Those were two outs, nobody on. We got to walk. I think that led to a run with two outs. And then I think a 2-out hit, and then it kind of, we strung a couple together. So it was, we just needed I mean, we were driving up the pitch count too. Like it wasn't, again, we were in this thing. It was 3-2 going into that bottom of that sixth and making him work. But you know, they just won those last few innings pretty easily. Too easy.
Maryland scored, I think, 4 runs off your bullpen. Just what was that lineup doing to kind of give that unit some problems?
Yeah, well, you know, hindsight 2020, right? Wyatt, I'm sure Wyatt wanted to stay in the game. But you know, you go to this, like they're scoring what, 9+ runs a game, I think. So one of the best offenses in the country. He gives us a chance to win. The lineup was coming around for the 3rd time. I know Wyatt wanted to stay in. We wanted to try to give him a different look. So go to our bullpen and you know, to give them credit for hitting. Giggs has been great for us all year. He changes speeds, he works fast, he does a lot of things really well. So give them credit for getting on him. And again, even in that late inning, I think those 2 runs were unearned or let me see if they were, but one was, you know, again, if we make a play or two, Nick Davis does a nice job for us there. So wanted to give an offense like that a different look. That's really probably took you out too early. You know, hindsight 2020, because he pitched really well.
We'll go 3rd row and then 2nd row.
Yeah, coach, what's gonna be the message, especially to the offense tomorrow? I mean, a little bit of a slow day late, especially those later innings, as you mentioned. Tomorrow, I mean, you don't know who the matchup's gonna be just yet, but what's gonna be the message to the offense to try and get them sparked going again?
Yeah, just same as always. Number one, make it hard on the opposing team. Make it work counts. Get in good hitters counts. Get your swing off when you do, and then when you get the 2 strikes, just refuse to strike out, foul pitches off, and make it tough on that guy. So I thought we did that at times again today. Like we did drive up the pitch count a little bit and foul some pitches off. We just didn't finish the at bats, but we have to make it ugly. I just can't be, we can't be relying on home runs and taking big swings and getting ourselves out. That's kind of part B to our offense. We're better when we're grinding 2 outs, doing stuff like that. And then we pop a home run, a 2-3 run shot. That's when we're really good. So we got to get back to basics and make this thing really challenging.
Here in the 2nd row.
Coach, you guys came to the bottom a couple of weeks ago and dominated 9-2. That's kind of a short kind of fences and whatnot. Here on the way course, the fence still a little shorter, and we were still kind of the line that probably wouldn't have gone on a couple parts. Does your pitching staff have to adjust to that, or did you succeed otherwise? Like anyway, just going into tomorrow as well?
No adjustment. They have to pitch to, you know, again, he had to pitch to one of the best offenses in the country. And so, I mean, that lineup's pretty scary, you know, the leadoff Schlager just he leads the country and walks, and there we go, walk him a couple more times, right? You try not to walk him, there he goes. Now he's feeding Shaw, LaRusso. I mean, that is a really tough lineup. So you can't be worrying about the park or pitching to the park. They got to make their pitches against really hard, you know, tough hitters. And when you make a mistake, they'll hit you. You know, you might be able to get away with it against other teams, but a team like Maryland's going to make you pay. So we knew this was going to be a different game than a couple of weeks ago, you know, and we played really well that day, swung the bats really well and jumped out early in that game. It was a little different than today. But you just got to pitch that lineup really. So tomorrow we're either going to be playing a team that's mashing and wake and just does a lot of things, or we're going to see a lot of chaos, you know, from George Mason and running and bunting and all the things that they do. So we just have to pitch to that team and our strengths and not the park.
Anything else for coach? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
As a reminder, Northeastern will be playing tomorrow at noon. We'll just go up with that. Yep. Good job.
Thank you, coach.
Yep, I got you. All right, as they're sitting down, as a reminder, Maryland will be playing in the second game tomorrow at 6 o'clock. This afternoon, we are joined by head coach Rob Vaughn, as well as student athletes, Nick LaRusso and Jason, Savacool. We'll start with an opening statement from coach, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes.
Yeah, no, that's what I told our guys afterwards. I thought it was just a very business-like win. You know, Northeastern is really good, man. It reminds me eerily of the UConn team we played last year. They're tough, they're well coached. They play hard. You know, we made pitches when we needed to. I thought Jason, Littman, Johnson all made pitches when we needed to. Obviously took some big swings. Lowe was outstanding today and really set up some innings late. And, you know, I thought really had some really good at bats, so we didn't have a lot to show for it. So really liked the way we played it. I thought it was just a very professional, business-like performance. And that's a good team over there, man. That's a really, they smoked us earlier in the year. So fortunate to get out here and start this thing the right way.
Questions for Nick or Jason? Yeah, we'll start here.
Jason, you're forcing a lot of ground balls today. Now you're 18 outs with ground outs. What pitches or sequences were working for you best today?
Yeah, I think the two seam was really good for me today. It was huge to get that working early. Right from pitch one, was able to get a ground out on the two seam. And just kind of mixing through the fastballs has been a huge change for me throughout this year. Beginning of the year, I was predominantly all two seams, but I've been able to implement the four seam, a cutter, just to provide a little bit of a different look on the fastballs, which just makes the two seam all that much better and allows me to get all those ground outs.
We'll go to the third row here and then back to the first row.
And Nick, in the game earlier in the season, you went 0 for 4 against this Northeastern pitching staff. Today, first half out, you had a home run to left center. Did your approach change at all in terms of how you did your bats?
No, just it was a learning process. I feel like the first time we played them, I realized that they attack a lot of good hitters well. So first at bat, going up there thinking fastball, and that's exactly what I got, and was lucky enough it was elevated.
Go first row here.
Jason, this Northeastern team hit a ton of home runs this season. It's a pretty small park. Was keeping the ball on the ground kind of an emphasis or a focal point for you?
I wouldn't say exactly. I mean, the wind was howling in today, which I'll take that any day. But
Come on.
but yeah, I mean, definitely getting the sinker in there, especially early, trying to get ground balls, keep the pitch count a little bit lower than I have in the past few outings. Was definitely an emphasis for me. So yeah.
Where did you get hit on that ball that came back at you, and how are you able to kind of bounce back and pitch really good after that?
Oh yeah, I'm good. It hit me on the side of the knee, side of my right knee. I'm fine. It'll swell up tomorrow and then I'll be good the next day. So it was just kind of a stinger, so not too bad.
Aaron?
The first guy in college baseball that wrote the end of the season in 20 years. I mean, it's obviously pretty big. Obviously, it's a testament to the guys in front of you also.
Exactly.
But I mean, like, how do you put this crazy season into perspective?
Like you said, it's not an individual accomplishment at all. It's all about guys getting on for me and, the bottom of the lineup, and obviously Luke, who gets on, at a crazy rate, and you got Matt Shaw, one of the best hitters in the country, right in front of me. So obviously can't do it myself, but I'm just trying to do my job every time, when I step up there, just looking for something to hit, and just all that other stuff takes care of itself when you do that.
Plus.
It just how pesky and annoying was the Northeastern hitting early in the game, getting those 2 out hits. I think you're one pitch away from getting out of the inning, and they just get another one across.
Yeah, a couple ground balls got through today, which is fine. That's what I expect, especially as a ground ball pitcher. But yeah, they did a really good job of running off the plan today. They were really good with 2 strikes. I was able to get 7 strikeouts on them, but they were definitely hard to get. They just ran off a really good plan, attacked the zone. I attacked the zone the best I could. But like I said, they were running off a good plan today. Their hitters are really good up there, especially their top 4 or 5 are really solid players. So
We'll go second row left.
Jason, can you talk about what the message you got from Rob was coming back out for that 6th where your pitch count was a little high and you giving up a couple runs?
yeah, basically I just had 4 batters until we got to the lefty at the bottom. So I just wanted to go out there and keep the pitch count as low as possible so I can, try and bounce back for a Sunday or Monday outing. So it's pretty much the message. Just go out there and get outs.
Anything else for the student athletes? All right. Questions for coach?
No, just about Jason's kind of we talked about, the way he's maybe not reinvented himself, I guess, but you would say improved your repertoire over the course of the season. From your perspective, from coach's perspective, what do you think is going to key for him to, kind of fight through and really maybe peak at this time of year?
I think a lot of maturity for one and a lot of humility. I think he's really thrown the ball really well all year. We've talked about this. There is a difference in being the guy that pitches on Friday and everybody all week watches you. And he's been known for that two-seam his whole career here. It's been 3 years worth of throwing that ball at the bottom and guys swing and miss at it. And part of being the Friday guy is coaches, everybody game plans for you all week long. And I thought teams have had really good plans. It's not that he's throwing the ball well. Guys have just done a really good job of trying to get him elevated and taking anything down. And if the umpire's not calling that ball down, it can get tough. And so I think he looked at it and said, I've got a 4-seam that plays, and him and Mo went to work and made some adjustments, and it just keeps getting better, man. That's a really good lineup, and they had a good plan against him today, and I think that's where you saw some of those 2-out hits and some of those, balls with 2 strikes that got through. But the maturity, the adjustment, the humility to do that in the middle of your junior year as one of the most successful players that's ever walked through here tells you a lot about his character and who he is.
That's it.
Coach, assuming you go to Nick Dean on the mound tomorrow, what do you hope to get out of him? And then also, how big was it to save the arm of Falco?
Yeah, 9 shutout, no hit innings is what we're looking from Dean for. No, just the same thing Jason did today. I tell our starters, man, like, your job is to go out and give us a chance to win. We don't need perfection. I mean, it's called what is Wake. Wake is one of the most complete teams, if not the most complete team in the country, from the way they throw the ball to the way they swing and execute stuff offensively. They're good. And so for us to go out and play tight and pitch tight, whether it's them, whether it's Mason, I mean, that's one of the hottest teams in the country right now, and George Mason, the way they're playing. It's one of those things that I think what we need from Nick Dean is to go out and be Nick Dean. To go out, mix pitches, be able to land the changeup and be able to land the break or the slider, in advantage counts, and move the fastball around and play good defense behind him. I need Nick Dean to go be Nick Dean tomorrow. If he does that, he gives us a chance, and that's all you can ask for, regardless of opponent.
We'll go center middle here, and then center left.
With Nick, 3 big hits today, coming off big things from the most outstanding players. There's something to be said about a guy who just comes through and the game plan.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it for years. That guy shouldn't be playing in college right now. That's just the reality of it. That guy should be hitting in the middle of the order in AA. And I think the Terps are really, really happy that scouts overthought it and made some interesting decisions, but he just does what he does. I mean, consistency is not just a baseball thing. It's how you live your life, how you go about your business. And we have a lot of guys in this group, kind of headlined by a guy like Nicky, that just goes about his business in a professional manner, day in, day out, on the field, off the field. And I think when you do that, the moment's just not big. He's been in college baseball for like 15 years at this point. He's basically my age, but in that situation, man, it's just a professional hitter. It's a professional at bat. The moment doesn't get too big. He's been on the other side of it plenty of times. And I think that's the reason he talked about it. Last year in the Big Ten tournament, grounds out against Indiana with a chance to win, and then steps up in the Big Ten tournament this year, and it's the walk-off jack and silence a crowd of 10,000. Like, it's just who he is. He's been there in moments of failure, and he's owned it, and he's walked through it, and that's what allows him to step in there and be free and run off a good play.
What does the process look like the rest of the day for you and your guys? Do you pay attention to what happens at 7, or do you just decompress and do other stuff?
I would love to tell you, we're just like, oh yeah, nobody's going to watch, but I think we all know that ain't going to happen. We'll be tuned into it. And my big thing for them is get off their feet. I've been in these regionals before, and they're tough. Like, can be hard on your body, can be exhausting mentally. You look at the score, and it looked like that was kind of a one-sided game. It's very far from one side. I mean, that was a pitch, a swing, a play from that thing either being flipped or from being a one-run game there. So yeah, I think get off their feet, get in the AC, get some food, get to bed tonight. Obviously, we have the late game tomorrow. So regardless of who we got, we'll see where we go from there.
We'll go second row right, then second row left, and back here to the first row.
Coach, you left 3 men on base today. This is kind of like on the low end of the average of the season. Do you feel like what you call the pack offense, I had a different type of game where when you got those runners on scoring position, you were able to knock them in more than usual?
So funny. I get the question all the time. And to me, when I see 3 men left on base, it means we didn't get on base enough, and I see it all the time. I get that question when we leave 9, I get the question on why we can't drive people in. And then I think we kind of not stunk, but they were just really good. We just didn't have enough base runners today. We were fortunate Nikki ran the ball out of the yard. We were fortunate that, Ed ran the ball out of the yard early. But I thought we were all over the barrel today. I thought Jacob Orr had an awesome game and ends up 0 for 4. Like that guy was on the barrel all day long. Trucks thought he hit a double on a sack fly, like a jackwagon at second base. But yeah, I thought our at bats were good. I just didn't think we had quite enough guys on. So I thought, you saw the pack offense a little bit there in whatever that was, 7th or 8th, when we were able to kind of execute. We used the stolen base a little bit today to get guys into scoring position. Honestly, we didn't use the short game enough. We had 2 opportunities to do it. We didn't execute it. So that's something we're going to have to be better at moving through this weekend.
Second row to the left.
Coach, it's 5-2 going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Was the plan to go to Falco if there were no runs scored in the bottom of the 8th? And also, can you talk about the development of Andrew Johnson? Because he's really come a long way this year.
No, you're exactly right. I think starting, we were tossing the ball to Dave with a 3-run inning, or with a 3-run lead. Once we lengthened it to even a 4-run lead, once we got to 5, Mo had told me, hey, we get to 5, we're going to go to HA. And that's why I kind of took that time out to get Woodsy over there just to give AJ a chance to get back hot. I can't say enough about Andrew Johnson and the way he's come on. That kid started the regional final, just like I talked about Nikki being in the batter's box and experiencing failure, and that's what allows him to be who he is. AJ started the game in the regional final against UConn on Monday, and there's no secret. He just kind of had a meltdown out there, couldn't finish the inning. We ended up giving up, I think, 5 or 6 in the first. And then he comes out this year and isn't throwing the ball great this year at the beginning. And that kid had the option to say, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm either going to hang out or I'm going to leave and transfer because I'm not being developed and this, that, and the other. And all he's done is work his tail off. And he's shown up. He's had some success. He's had some failures, had some ups and had some downs. But he's what we're all about in the way he goes about his business, because that kid didn't suck his thumb and feel bad for himself. He just got himself better. And you looked up and we tossed him the ball in front of 10,000 crazy Cornhuskers last weekend. And, it got a little interesting on the fly ball off Anderson's bat, but that was a turning point for that kid, because last year he couldn't have done that. Earlier this year, he couldn't have done that. And that's how much he's grown, just as much mentally as he has physically. And just can't tell you how proud I am and how much we trust him in that moment to go get it done.
We'll go front row center and then front row left.
Those are common points on the game this weekend.
Kyle will not be available this weekend. He is here. He's not on the active roster this weekend. Tommy Kane is. He threw to live hitters the other day, so he is available in the next couple of days.
Is he on any kind of pitch count limit or anything, or is he full?
No, he's full go. He's ready to go. It's just a matter of situation. I mean, the guy hasn't, been on the mound in a little while. So I think some of that, we're not going to go abuse a kid that's coming back, but he is available and he'll be able to help us in some capacity.
Coach, there very well could be like a bit of a mystique coming into the #1 team in the country's home, have a chance to potentially play them tomorrow. Is that mystique not necessarily there for you guys, having played this club last season and defeated them in this very format?
I mean, I think number one is you respect the heck of what they've done this year. I mean, been hands down the most consistent team in college baseball on both sides of the ball. So I think respecting your opponent matters, but I do think we have an older group, and kind of what is one of my best friends in the world, Corey Mascara, like worked for me for 4 years. I talk to Moose once a week for 5 hours, it seems like. And anybody that knows Moose knows that guy will absolutely lock you down. But it's funny, we talk about it all the time. I feel like he knows our team inside and out because him and I talk every day about our team. I know I can probably tell you every pitch and every count and what they've done in the pitching lab and what they've done here because Moose has told me. So there's just familiarity. I think the ability of respecting what they do is very important. That's an elite level ball club, and they deserve every right to be the #1 ranked team in the nation, and deserve everything that they're getting right now. I think we just got an older group that I think understands the mound is still 60 foot 6 inches away, and we still are 90 feet away. And it's just who can execute, who can execute with the game on the line, who can be themselves and do what they do with everything else swirling around them. The one that ends up coming out of this thing on Sunday or Monday. So I like the way we approach it today. Obviously, depending on what happens tonight, we'll go to work and see who we got.
We'll go find out this week.
Oh yeah. I was trying to go hang out at his house the other day, and his kids both have strep, so I didn't get to go over there and see his wife. Yeah, well, we talk. He's on the field during BP. I'm like, Moose, I'm trying to actually coach my players. Can you please get off the field? One of my best friends in the world, and respect him as a coach, as a friend. I text him as soon as it happens. I look next to my wife sitting next to me at the selection show, and I see her and Susie, his wife, are texting as soon as they're done like that. So love his family, love that guy. and I want to kick his tail this weekend, but I love him.
We'll go with final question here in the second round.
Coach, I just want to ask, with McCoy out, obviously he's a little further out, and in the regional, you had Nick McCoy pitch because of, the depth side. Obviously, in the regional, you have all hands on deck. Do you know who you're trying to turn to in regards to long inning relief, or in mind yet, or you have this far out?
It's pretty far out. I mean, there's so much that can go on, I mean, especially if you stay in the winners bracket, you can kind of keep guys kind of on track a little bit. If you get in the other side, it's survive, and you're not trying to survive games, you're trying to survive innings, and very honestly, that's one thing I learned last year in the regional. We're in that regional final on Monday. We get in a little bit of a mess in the first, and we had Falco available for maybe an inning somewhere, and I didn't want to burn him in the first inning. And then I was talking to some coaches of mine that I know and respect as we look, after the season's over, and they're like, Rob, man, once you get to that game, you're trying to survive innings. You're not trying to survive games. And so, you stay on the right side, you can stay on schedule a little bit. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll go home tonight. We'll see who we have tomorrow. And we'll start putting a game plan together. Nick Dean will pitch regardless of who we're facing tomorrow. So Dino will be on the mound. So we'll put a game plan together for him. And obviously, you have Falco ready. We kept Littman short enough. He can bounce back here pretty quick. So it'll be all hands on deck, whether it's Mason or Wake.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I didn't see you here for a while. That's good. I'm not supposed to tell everyone. I didn't tell you this, but this is an honor.
Yeah, cut that off.
We're probably bouncing around, so, yeah, I figured it's 30 years, probably go to Columbia tomorrow, and I'm in the middle and I'm trying to get stopped. So that.
We'll see. Well, maybe left over from what was there this morning. That was the one wrong choice I made about just doing a muffin and not getting something else, was then I was just right, come back out.